Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. I'm not gay. And you're going to see in this video that I'm right, that there's a bunch of white, Jewish, and LGBT supremacists trying to sabotage me and trying to make it so I seem gay or sound gay. First of all, when you look at those pictures of me there, it's like there's a gay shape to my body, but I'm not gay. So it is with the challenger in the picture below, the bottom left, on the top picture. It's like he's gay, but he's not gay. Okay, I'd go as far as to say that every male in that picture is not gay, as far as I know. I don't know. Okay, but I'd go as far as to say that's the case. But they made it seem like they are. So now let's zoom in on this Shaolin monk here. If you're not very insightful, you might think that, hey, he's magically what he isn't, which is the best. Okay, at least on the wall. We'll get to that in a second here. But first I want to point out that he is a very serious martial artist with thousands of hours of training under his belt by the looks of it, right? You know, his whole body is ripped in a certain way, but there's limitations. Okay. It also shows you that martial arts are the greatest expression of religion. Why? You know, think about the masses of priests, the rabbis, imams, Muslims, Jews, Christians, Hindus, Jains, Buddhists who don't do martial arts. Are they expressing their religion the same way? No. Okay, and the Bible talks about bearing fruit, and you know them by their fruit. So think of him as somebody who's possessed by a spirit of Buddhism or the spirit of Buddhism. And he kind of stops for a while, and then he keeps conveying the spirit. Now, why is it fair to say that? Now, they've been training quite often in the same area, the same temple, same room, okay, same places outside for generations, right? A lot of these Buddhist martial arts, Shaolin monks, what have you. And they stop for a moment, and there's thinking, there's a spirit that they're in, and they convey that spirit. Now, what is the spirit? It's not a monotheistic spirit, right? So he's possessed by something other than a monotheistic spirit. Now, whether or not he's a good or a bad person, I'm going to say that for another video. That's not what this video is about. This video is actually about why I'm Christ in the top martial arts ever possible. Okay? But it's important to know that, right? That's why the word spirit, the word spirit is a play on words for spear, to actually spear something, like these gentlemen up there in the cartoon picture have spears, and they're in a certain spirit. To spirit, right? Spar it, spirit, spare it, spar, and par. Pretty straightforward, right? Now, think about him in terms of footwork. If you look up there, you see the USA martial arts, and what is probably they're doing taekwondo, right? Olympic sports taekwondo sparring indoors with specific rules. There you see me outdoors. This person's outdoors. So immediately those guys go outdoors. They're at a great disadvantage because they've been training for a sport, not for actual martial arts. They might do a little bit well, but they won't do very well. The people I sparred against might very well beat them because they are not used to being outdoors and actually doing real martial arts. They're focused on countless hours of training for the Olympics to represent their country, what have you. If you look carefully at my legs there, you see differences, okay? My legs in the top picture look different than my legs in the bottom picture. Okay, this is important here. On the camera, it's not showing up so much. If you see the video of the spar match, both those videos are posted online. Okay, that's important here because I do not move like a fairy. I do not move like a gay person. I actually have the best footwork of anybody in that picture. In fact, anyone who's ever lived by far. Let's look at this guy real quick, this gentleman here. His footwork is rather slow. He kind of has duck feet, right, where they point out when he walks. I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm sure he's good at his craft, what have you. Okay, and then there's Jet Li there. Now, how do we know I have the best footwork? Well, number one, I played countless hours of basketball before I went into martial arts. I can jump higher than everyone in these pictures, okay? I can outmaneuver them easily on the basketball court. And there's a thin line in many ways between basketball and some parts and some forms of sparring. It's such a thin line that you have a point guard. It's called a guard, right? You have a forward, okay? You have a center. And again, Kuro Obi means black belt. Okay, Obi can be a belt or a sash. Obi in Igbo means king, heart, hut, essence, center, center, temple, core. Okay, now look down here real quickly here, incidentally. You see this Venom MMA or boxing or you know, some kind of martial art glove. I'm guessing it's MMA because that M right there. Venom, right? Because it goes back to the Pharisees being called a brood of vipers. By now you should know that I'm right. We're going back here. So keep in mind, I strike faster than these other people. I have more reach than they do. Okay? I'm smarter than they are. I'm on the highest path while they conform to the world and accepted their specific paths. No offense to anybody. Okay? And I have better footwork. And I'm stronger. We'll get to that in the next video when I put up another picture here. Okay, so let's go over here real fast here. I have very squeaky shoes, so I'm trying not to move here. See how it says the falcon is the fastest animal, right? And it's been clocked going 242 miles per hour. And this one, it says 200 miles an hour. Now look at that shape. It's almost like someone photoshopped the picture, right? But that's not what happened. They covertly edited it and they added a kind of reddish hue to it. So when I take screenshots, it takes away from it because they're racist and they don't want to give me my rightful place. But if you look at that carefully, compare my muscles, okay, and they also made it so it seemed like I have Greek pecs. If you see it in a full screen picture, it doesn't look so Greek gayish. If you see it from like far away, it looks like a gay Greek body or something. It's a weird kind of optical illusion that they've created with their covert editing, okay? And so you see it here. So if you look at that picture and this picture and you think about them carefully, pause it if you have to, then you go to this picture. You can see that my muscle set is more conducive, you know, more effective for sparring. Okay, exactly what happens when I strike and block and redirect blows. Okay, well, I'm masterfully avoiding his hand strikes, striking my arms. You might say, well, you know, it's just you're more physically fit. No. We'll get to that in the next video, okay? This guy can kick to the knees, he can strike to the arms while they're coming in, what have you. But it's who's faster, who's smarter than who? Who's smarter? Who outmaneuvers who? That is critical, that is vital. Okay? It's not as simple as I'm taller than he is. This person's trained for many hours to block in certain ways, to redirect in certain ways, to maneuver in certain ways, to work the angles, you name it. So as you can see in this video, I think that I'm going to end it here because I've given you a lot of information here. Let me just end this by saying, you see the leopard, right? These guys are shaped like a deer or an impala. I'm shaped more like a leopard. So those kicks would not do very well. They have trouble coordinating both their kicks and their hand strikes. They do a bunch of showy kicks. It's written on that thing, right? I have quick, powerful kicks with long legs with a certain leopard structure to throw off balance and cripple versus the high-flying, showy kicks. Plus, you can see, you imagine those kicks trying to get past my defense. It's not going to happen. Look at the way my body's structured. They made it a little, they gay washed it, but you can tell that those kicks are not making it past that guard. Okay, and my kicks are faster or just as fast as theirs, and they have a certain structure that's conducive for striking that is better than their kicks and better than his kicks. His kicks are more angled, they're interesting, but the exact way I think, the way I'm used to outmaneuvering people, the way I've been outmaneuvering people since I was a little kid, okay, in basketball, the way my exact skill set comes together. And so skywalking, right, sky, law, king. And notice that the falcon flies high outside of Babylon's system, near the sun. The sun, Psalm 19, the symbol of the bridegroom, right? And it's the faster and master. It's faster. So they're kind of part of the dragon Babylon mystery system, like the 5 animals of Kung Fu, right? Shaolin Kung Fu, 5 animal styles that people often refer to, right? You have the snake, you have the tiger, you have the panther, you have the dragon and the crane. So you have a snake and a dragon. And quite often the dragon's considered the master animal because it's a kind of dragon system. Bruce Lee was known as the dragon. He did Kung Fu before he did Jeet Kune Do, which he's said to have invented, right? Okay, so, and I kind of lost my train of thought here, but to make a long story short, in this video, you should already be able to see that I'm right, okay? And that I'm very smart. And then to try to play black people out as brutes, as stupid. Let me end by saying this. So Nigeria is, you know, the most populated country in Africa and one of the most populated countries in the world. And you have this certain pressure cooker effect where Asia, they spread out all the way to Asia and then they multiply, okay? Where In Africa, you have more of this kind of battlefield effect where there's a pressure cooker, where people's body shape is naturally selected. That's why there's that gap. We'll get to that in the next video. My arm's getting sore from holding this. I get fumed and poisoned. They do stuff to mess up my body. I'm crippled these days. I have a video that I posted recently, even though I didn't want people to see how I look, because I don't like the way they've changed me. And you can tell that I have a certain cognitive impairment from years of being fumed and poisoned, and I've been crippled to some degree. Okay, and there's weirdos who might pretend